On April 21st, over 50 Lumbee Indians and their supporters gathered at the North Carolina State Capitol grounds for the second time, calling for a boycott of Clearchannel Radio's G105 and an end to racist hate speech on the radio. On the morning of April 1st, G105's Bob Dumas of Bob and the Showgram went on a 15-minute uninterrupted tirade against Lumbee Indians. Dumas and his crew made comments to an intern about her coming wedding to a Lumbee man. Among other things, Dumas said that Indians were lazy and that Lumbee Indians were inbred. Bob Dumas was suspended for 3 days without pay and has since issued an apology. Bob Dumas has been suspended numerous times, once after causing national controversy by making racist statements against American Idol winner Fantasia. Another time, he called on motorists to throw bottles at cyclists. He has also organized a heterosexual pride parade and continually heckles homosexuals. In response to these continuing actions on the public airwaves, activists are calling for a full boycott of G105's advertisers and have established a forum against intolerance and racism.
This is the God's honest truth. Now, I mean, you can look at the statistics. Indians are lazy. Do you know that? Before you get married. I've seen the numbers. Statistics say, really?
What,
now,
more Indians watch television? Honestly,
okay.
Where do you get this?
Tell me where another Indian has done anything at your house.
Enough of this ignorance. And from this moment on, we will not tolerate this kind of material on the airways. So I call for strong action today, not only to my Lumbee people, to my kindred brothers and sisters, Native people across this land, to my United Methodist brothers and sisters, and to the community of faith at large. And let us shout together in a unified voice against the wrong that has been done to us. Let us work together. Let us pray together. Let us meet together. Let us speak together. Let us write together. And let us protest together until we are finally heard, until our inherent strength, beauty, and dignity as Native Americans is recognized and affirmed.
The definition of racism is the belief that race accounts for differences in human character, ability, and that a particular race is superior to others. He did not say that all people are lazy. He said that all Indians are lazy. To those people, I say that hate, under the pretext of humor, is still hate. Racism, acted upon behind the facade of a smile, is still racism. And when you drown out their laughter and just listen to the words, maybe the cast and their supporters can start to understand why people are so outraged.
Hi, this is Bob from the Showgram at G105. On April 1st, we made some comments about Native Americans in the context of talking about our intern and her upcoming wedding. We intended for the comments to be humorous, but we failed at that. We sincerely apologize to each of our listeners who were offended.
I read all about his apology. I'm sorry, it was just joking. Well, the problem with his apology is that he was not willing to address what it was that was wrong with what he was saying. He was sorry because he got in trouble.
But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth behind the mockery of Lumbee Indians on a radio talk show in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that truth is that in many sectors of our society, racism sells, cruelty sells, hatred sells. And there are those who will perpetrate these practices without the slightest regard for the people they are wounding or the divisive influence they are having upon our society, purely because they can expect a financial profit from these practices.
It is, in all of my studies of race with sociology, racial and ethnic relations, it is the ideology that ends up reinforcing institutional racism. It gets translated into institutional racism. And so when you go to the colleges, North Carolina, all over the country, and you see 3 Indian students, this is what happens as a result of the racism that you heard on the radio.
Lumbee, have you ever seen Lumbee women?
No.
Yes. Yeah, the girl who was Miss North Carolina who was naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. She actually came in the studio.
Yeah. There've been several that are pretty hot.
No, that girl never came in.
It was a different girl.
Yeah.
We're talking about Rebecca Revels.
I was going to say, because there was a more recent Miss North Carolina. She came in. And
she was Lumbee.
Yeah.
And I've seen some others that are gorgeous.
Anyway.
Well, okay, Mike. I guess you have a new type.
You know,
I'm down with the brown.
You know the reason.
All the comments about our women, the derogatory, the sexual innuendos that were related to Indian women were just baffling for me.
She says, yeah, I don't blame you.
They call you Pocahontas?
Really? Really?
Do they have any traditions that you're going to have to do at the wedding or afterwards or anything, you know, like all his friends get a turn?
And to have public airwaves being used to reinforce these false stereotypes is just something that is no longer acceptable to us. And people like myself who have been surrounded by their communities and who identify strongly with their communities, and then come somewhere like Raleigh, North Carolina to find a better way to get an education, and to be attacked on the public radio in the way that I have felt under attack is unacceptable.
I want my children to be free. I want my children to have the right to live and to have the right of safety. I want my children to feel that they too are citizens, that they too are Americans in this land that we call home.
Well, we're so excited to have joined forces with lots of Hispanic organizations in the Triangle. And so I think what's next is for us to come together as a coalition and really decide how we want to approach this. We've also been contacted by a national organization called Citizens Against Hate. So I think it's taking a much more of a outside the Raleigh Triangle area aspect to it. So that's what's next, is actually taking this information and our campaign outside of Raleigh and out of state as well.
It's not over. What we are looking at doing is after the demonstration today, a group of us will meet and we're going to go over what our next steps are. We're still writing the FCC. We're asking them to get involved and to issue some research and also to investigate the claims that have been submitted. In addition to that, we are asking the FCC to terminate or suspend the radio show. It was not, or the radio show program was not suspended by FCC. It was actually done in-house, and that again was not acceptable. We are asking for the federal government to come in and to take a stand on hate radio and to end the propaganda that's been shared through the airways.
The new airline of the CIA is Aero Contractors. During the Vietnam War, it was Air America.
Fight for their rights as people, fight for their rights as human beings, fight for the rights of others who cannot defend themselves.
This is a wound. This is the closest to a genocide that any of us may ever face in our lives.
Thousands of students on almost 80 campuses across the country are interrupting their daily routine to protest this war in Iraq.
The company is getting rid of workers that have worked there 10 and 12 years because the company says they didn't know that they were undocumented. You know, workers shouldn't be taken out in handcuffs. The CEOs and the plant management should be taken out in handcuffs.
Look at all this, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass. They all said unite. Look what they did. Look what they accomplished.
Para los niños de todo el mundo queremos paz y libertad. For the children of the world, we want peace and liberty. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo.